Hey guys, what's up? It's Carson and welcome to my channel. Today we are going to do a quick, or maybe not so quick, little chatty video about genre and how you decide what genre your book is, and also age classifications, because it's just kind of been on my mind recently and I wanted to talk about it. Sorry if you can hear the lawn people outside. But if it's quiet inside, obviously it can't be quiet outside, because why would things work out in my favor that way? But I was filming my video for my TBR for the reading rush. I always want to call it Booktubeathon. And I put on there an Erik Larson book because I've never read Erik Larson before, and I've always wanted to because his books are so pretty and people say that they're really good. But I was reading a review and they called his genre narrative history, which I thought was interesting. I have never read him yet, so I guess I can't really weigh in on what narrative history is because I don't really know. But then I was listening to Writing Excuses this week and I'm a week behind, so and they had an author on talking about alternate history stories, where you take things that happened in the past and change something and then kind of roll with that change and see how it would change like the future. And my understanding of narrative history, which is what they say Erik Larson does, is that narrative history is where you take what actually happened in history, but you just kind of give voices to the characters or the people that were in history. And then they talked a little bit about, in Writing Excuses, historical fantasy, which is like history but with magic. I set out to try and do this with like as minimal editing as I can, and now I can only speak for 30-minute intervals while the freaking lawn guys are gone, so I'm sorry if the editing is kind of jumpy here. But reading all of those descriptions, and here it comes again, so we're gonna pause. Reading those descriptions made me think about my two books and what I would generally classify them as, because I've always classified them as historical fiction. But that's because we don't know enough about the Vikings. Like, maybe it could be considered alternate history because I didn't set out to kind of track one particular event or events, so then it wouldn't be considered like alternate history, I guess, because I'm not trying to change something, but I probably am changing things because I don't know what their correspondence was like. I do think that I can call Valor, my first book, solidly historical fiction, right? Like, I know about the Vikings, I know about where they live and how they live, and I'm writing a story about them. But where things get dicey is my novel Might. So most of my novel Might is historical fiction, alternate history. I don't know. Most of my novel Might is Vikings going into Spain, or what is modern day Spain, and kind of communicating with people and sort of like seeing how they run things and feeling pressure about there being other kings and other big kingdoms out there. But I don't know if I'm changing history by doing that. I mean, I am, because I'm not writing about a specific history. So what is that, alternate history? Or is it only alternate history if I'm setting out to like take something that did happen and make it either not happen or happen differently? I don't know. I don't know. And is it even important? Like, is it important to have a really firm genre, or is that something where, like, if I do get published, or I do get an agent or a publisher, then they'll kind of tell me what genre it is? Or do I need to know for sure going in? Or can I say it's historical fiction? If it's not historical fiction, then somebody will correct me. But then the dicier part about Might is that part of Might takes place in Asgard, which is where the gods are, and I have this character Leaf who interacts with a whole bunch of different gods. But is that historical fantasy? And if it is, then how do I have historical fiction and historical fantasy in the same book? Is it like, because there's fantasy doesn't make it historical fantasy. Because if I was going into a historical fiction and then there was fantasy, then I might be really upset because that's not what I was setting out for. But if I'm a big fantasy buff and I go into it thinking that it's going to be really fantasy heavy, which my book is not really fantasy heavy, then I think I would be upset too. So how do you genre? How do you pick these things? And then don't get me started with age categories. We're gonna go into it a little bit here, but like when you're little, up to middle school, they list books as like 1st to 3rd graders, 4th to 5th graders, like this is good for 12-year-olds. But then once you hit 14, it's either like you're a young adult or you're an adult. So for the next, what, 70, 80 years of your life, you can only be in 2 different categories. And also, new adult is kind of a thing. Like, I've been around Booktube and AuthorTube. New adult is sort of a thing. It's a term people throw around, but it's not like you go into Barnes & Noble and there's a new adult section. So how legit is that term? How well understood is it in the public that isn't reading and writing, or in the reading and writing communities online? I don't know, because I am part of the reading and writing communities online, so I don't really know what's going on outside of here. But I don't know. I guess what I'm getting at is I don't know whether my books would be classified as a young adult or adult, because to me they are more new adult. And if they're more new adult, then they should be adult, because new adult, by the nature of its creation, means that it's too adult for young adult. But then it's like, who decides what topics are adult topics and which topics aren't adult topics? Like, is it like movie ratings, like PG and PG-13? I don't know. Like, because I've read young adult that seems very adult to me, that has a lot of adult themes that I wouldn't personally deem super appropriate for a 14-year-old. But then they say young adult is somewhere between like your teens and your early or mid or late 20s. But that's really different, right? Like, something for a 15-year-old is really different compared to something for a 25-year-old. Your life experiences are completely different. And I think that it's not as big of a deal for my first novel, Valor. I think wherever you are in life, you can read Valor and understand what's happening. But a lot of what Might isn't something that's necessarily for that younger teen audience, where it'll make sense, right? They'll understand it, but I don't know that they would find it as compelling and impactful as somebody that's in their 20s, which, you know, makes sense because I was a teenager when I started writing Valor, and I'm in my 20s now while I'm writing Might. But how do you do that? And can you do that with a series? Or do I need to make one more adult and one less adult and have them all in the same, like, age bracket categorization? Yeah. So these are just some thoughts that I've been having, and I would love to talk to you guys in the comments what you guys think about genre and age categories, and if you have any trouble figuring out what they are for your book, because I am struggling, and I feel like it's what people ask, right? Well, is it action or thriller or a rom-com? And I'm like, nah, it's kind of historical, but there might be a little bit of fantasy, but it's definitely historical, but like, it's not following a specific historical event. Like, I don't have a good answer for you. I'm sorry. So yeah, this is where I'm gonna end it, because I don't have anything good to say. I've just posed a lot of questions at you, but I hope you enjoyed kind of hearing my thoughts and struggles on the topic, and let me know in the comments what you guys think. If you have answers for any of my questions, or if any of my questions spurred some questions of your own, I would love to know and talk to you guys, because I'm confused, obviously. I don't know what I'm talking about. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like what you saw, please subscribe down below. I make writing and reading content here on my channel pretty regularly. I would say at least 2 times a week, and I would love to have you here. And that's all for this video. I will see you guys next time. Bye.